Hello viewers, welcome to the course of Introductory Plant Pathology. We will be discussing today in the course of plant pathogens about the phanerogamic parasites. All the plants which produce flowers, fruits and seeds are known as phanerogamic plants, and those phanerogamic plants which parasitize on the other plants are actually the parasitic phanerogams. Parasites may totally discard their own photosynthesis process, and in fact they connect its vascular system to the vascular system of the host plant, and they draw the nutrients and water for their own growth. Parasites mostly exposed at the surface of the hosts, and at that time they are known as epiparasites, and mostly their part is hidden inside the host organs, then it is called as endoparasites. The endoparasitic portion is composed of thread like haustoria, a single structure that becomes embedded in the host tissue. Then we classify these types of phanerogamic parasites. Then there are two types of parasites, one is stem parasite and another is the root parasite. Then we first take the stem parasites. They are of two types, holoparasites and semiparasites. Holoparasites are those parasites which are totally dependent on their host plants, and semiparasites are those parasites which are partially dependent on their host plants. First we take the stem parasites and holoparasites. They are entirely dependent, and the most important example of holoparasite is the cuscuta or dodder. These parasitize on the garden ornamentals and hedge plants, whereas the semiparasites which are partially dependent on the hosts are loranthus. These parasitize on the fruits, wasteland, roadside and forest trees. Then we come to the root parasites. Again there are holoparasites and semiparasites. In the category of holoparasites which are entirely dependent, Orobanche is one of the glaring examples, and it parasitizes mostly on the vegetables and oilseed plants like tobacco, mustard, brinjal, tomato, cabbage, cauliflower, turnip and many other solanaceous and cruciferous plants. Semi-parasites, root parasites are those which partially depend on the host plants, and most important example is the striga. It parasitizes on the sugarcane, cereals, maize and millets, etc. Then we first take the cuscuta or the dodder, vernacularly known as amarbale also. It is a non-chlorophyllous, leafless parasitic seed plant. It is yellow, pink or orange in color and attached to the host. They do not bear leaves, but have minute functionless scaly leaves. They produce flowers and fruits. Flowers are white, pink or yellowish in color, and they are found in clusters. Seeds are formed in the capsules. A single plant may produce up to 3000 seeds. This is the picture of the cuscuta or the dodder. You see, this is the inflorescence of the cuscuta, This is the leaf of the host plant, this is the host stem, and this is the parasite which is yellow in color. You see it is twining around the host stem and leaf, and these are the flowers of the cuscuta, which is also yellow in color. These are the flowers of the cuscuta parasites. They are white in color and they also grow in clusters, as you are seeing here. These are the fruits of the cuscuta and they bear the seeds within them. Now, when we have a transverse section of the host cell parasitizing with the cuscuta vine, we see that the cuscuta is forming the hostoria, and these hostoria are entering inside the vascular bundle of the host plants for drawing their nutrients and water required for their growth. These are all hostoria. You are seeing here tiny adventitious roots like structures. Then we come to the mechanism, that how the hostoria penetrates in the stem and leaf and reach to the cortical region. The hostoria actually secrete enzymes into the plant tissues that hydrolyze the reserve food stuffs such as starch to make them available to the daughter plant. These hydrolyzed substances and water are absorbed by the hostoria and transported to the daughter stem, where they are utilized for further growth and reproduction. This is the picture showing that how the hostoria of the daughter plant is entering inside the tissues of the host. You are seeing hostoria here, it is entering inside the host tissues behind the pericycle, and these are the vascular bundles too. You see V is written here, vascular bundles of the host plants, and hostoria are entering inside the vascular bundles to draw or to absorb nutrients and water. Now, we come to know that how they overwinter and disseminate, because it is very important to for the survival of these parasites, that how they survive in the nature. Actually, as impurity of the crop seed, these seeds of such parasites are very minute, very small in size, and they mix along with the crop seeds when they are grown in the field, and they as a impurity they grow along with the crops. As seeds and stem pieces moved by irrigation water channels, when the water channels are flowing in the field, they also, the seeds of the parasites also flow along with the channel, and they grow with the crop plants. As stem pieces present on the dry straw from infested fields, as seeds in the manure. Normally, farmer put manure in the farm, and this manure is totally infested with the seeds of these types of parasites. As stem pieces transported by cattle and farm implements, as stem pieces carried by birds or strong winds. Actually, birds and winds also help in disseminating the seeds of these parasites. Now, we come to the symptoms on the host plants. When the host is totally parasitized by these types of parasites, they suffer from malnutrition, because all their nutrients and water is being drawn by the parasite for their own growth, and in fact, the host plant suffers very badly. Vitality of the host plant is also reduced. Plant may remain dwarf. Yellowing of the leaves with less flowers and fruiting is very common symptom. In case of severe attack, the whole plant of the affected part may die. This is the picture showing the severe infestation of the dodder or cuscuta. You see all the parasites is growing all along the trees and hedges in the garden, and they are drawing their nutrients and making the plants, the host plants, weak. Then the systematic position of this parasite is, it belongs to class Dicotyledonine, order Solenales, family Cuscutaceae, and the genus is Cuscuta. Then we come to the second very important phanerogamic parasite, which is Loranthus. It is also commonly known as mistletoes. It is semi-parasitic plant of fruit and forest trees. For example, mango trees are often being shown as a parasitized by this type of parasites. Dense clusters of twigs are seen on the trees. Smooth green leaves with tubular flowers are the prominent features of Loranthus. They have no root system, and they also develop haustoria as Cuscuta we have seen in the Cuscuta. It does not depend totally on host, because it is partially dependent, and it depends on host only for water and minerals. This is the, I am showing here that how beautiful and brightly colored fruits of Loranthus and the tubular flowers having the smooth leaves and twigs, and these actually fruits attract the birds and so many other animals, which help finally in the dissemination of this type of parasite. Then host parasite relations. When the seed lands on a tree and attaches to the bark of host twig, they germinate and produce the germ tube. This grows along the bark surface until it meets a bud or a leaf base, at which the radicle becomes broad and flattened on the side of the bark. Haustorium is produced and penetrates the bark directly and reaches the phloem and cambium in the vascular bundles of the host tissues. This is how the Loranthus is attached to the surface of the host plant, and you see these haustoria are drawing their nutrients and water from inside the vascular bundles, and at some times we also see some tumor like structures are formed there, and this is how it is attached from the lower surface. Also you are seeing here that it is attached on the host plant. You see the mistletoe on a tree, it looks like this. If we see the big trees like mango and other fruit trees, so many gardens we see such type of mistletoes growing on the different host plants, parasitizing for their own food and nutrition. And this is the how they penetrate inside the cambium and vascular tissues of the host tissues, and you are seeing here that Loranthus twigs are here, and the vascular bundles are being penetrated by the haustoria. Then symptom on the host plant. Again they are stunted in growth, they reduce the size of the leaves and may show unhealthy green color, that is pale green color is there. Flowering and fruiting may be hampered. Tumor may form on the infected area as I have shown you, and quality and yield of the fruit is considerably lowered. Overwintering and dissemination. In this case, they overwinter as a seed, spread by seed dispersal through birds and to some extent by other animals, because birds are very much attracted by the bright color of the fruits and flowers, and they used to visit such type of parasites, and they help in dispersing the dissemination of the seeds of such parasites. Birds are attracted by brilliant color, and droppings of birds containing seeds also help in dissemination of the parasite. This is the picture showing that the bird is actually visiting the parasitic plants, and these are the tubular flowers and the fruits. They help in dissemination. This is the systematic position. Class belong to class Dicotyledonei, order Solenales, family Lorenzaceae, genus is Lorenthus. Then we come to the next parasitic plant, that is broom rape or Orobanche. It is a total root parasite. Orobanche is a total root parasite. How does it look like? It has a stout fleshy stem 10 to 15 inches long. The stem is pale yellow or brownish red in color and is covered by small thin and brown scaly leaves. Flowers are white and tubular. The seeds are very small and black in color and may remain viable in the soil for several years. They remain in the soil for several years. So, it is very difficult to manage such type of pathogenic organisms. This is how the flower of the Orobanche look like. It is mostly white, having some pinkish tinge over it, and some trichomes are there, and it is commonly known as Locumula in our farmers language. Persistence and dissemination. The parasite overwinters as seed in the 4 centimeter deep in the soil. The dissemination of seeds are carried out by rainwater, birds, and even by animals. The systematic position is they belong to class Dicotyledonei, order Orchidales, family Orobanchaceae, genus Orobanche, and species are different species are there. Then we come to the most important phanerogamic parasite, that is Striga. How it is important? Because it in fact infests mostly the crop plants, and that is why we treat Striga as one of the most important parasites. It is also known as witchweed. Striga is a small plant with bright green, slightly hairy stem and leaves. It is a semi-root parasite, but obligate in nature, because it needs the host, living host, for their reproduction. The weed grows 15 to 60 centimeter in height and remain in clusters. Leaves are long and narrow in opposite pairs. Flowers are small, brick red or yellowish or almost white with yellow centers. It appears throughout the season. Tiny brown seeds are produced in each capsule, and a single plant can produce 50,000 to 5 lakh seeds. The seeds can remain viable for 12 to 40 years. You see the viability of the seeds, and it remains in the soil. So, it is very difficult to manage and eradicate the plant parasites from the soils. These are the Striga seeds. Here it is looking very large, but you see the scale is 0.5 millimeter. So, they are very minute seeds, just like sand particles we can say. So, it is very difficult to dissociate it with the from the sand. So, roots are watery, white in color, without root hairs, and hence obtain nutrients by hostoria from the host plant. The life cycle from seed germination to first seed setting on the developed plant needs 90 to 120 days. These here I am showing you the yellow color flowers of the striga, and here it is the orange color. So, they are actually the different species. This is Asiatica and Hermontheka. They are mostly grown in the South African, West African regions rather. This is the Striga hermontheka. They are parasitizing here the sorghum crop. You can see the pinkish color striga growing along the sorghum crops in the lines, and they are root parasites. So, they draw their nutrition from the plants and they become stunted and look pale in the color. Systematic position. Kingdom is Plantae, phylum Magnoliophyta, class Magnoliaceae, order Scrofulariales, family Scrofulariaceae, and genus is Striga. Here we can see the host plant's root connected with the striga. You are seeing here, this is connection of the sorghum plant with the striga. It is the hand drawn picture which is showing how the striga plant is attached with the roots of the host plants and drawing their nutrition. This is also a picture of natural picture of showing the striga roots are connected with the host's roots. Now, how they overwinter and disseminate in the nature. Each plant is capable of producing up to 5 lakh seeds, as I have told you earlier also. Seeds may remain viable in the soil for over 10 years. Witchweed, an annual plant, overwinters in the seed stage. Its seeds germinate in the presence of host root exudates and develop hostoria, which penetrate host root cells. This is very interesting phenomenon in case of striga, that it does not grow without the root exudates of the host. Host root exudates contain strigolactones, that is signaling molecules that promote striga seed germination. Without strigolactones cannot germinate, seeds never germinate. A bell like swell forms where the parasitic roots attach to the roots of the host. The pathogen colonizes underground, where it may spend the next 4 to 7 weeks before emergence, when it rapidly flowers and produces seeds. So, it remains underground for quite a long time, around 4 to 7 weeks, and just after the emergence they start producing flowers and seeds. So, it is very important that we should manage these parasites before the production of flowers, otherwise they will start producing the seeds and seeds will be disseminated as soon as they are produced. Witchweed seeds spread easily by wind, water and soil through animal vectors. The chief means of dispersal is through human interaction by means of machinery, tools and clothing. Whatever machinery like tractors or like spades or so many things farmers are using, they are seeds are attached with those tools and they go from one plant to another plant and start infecting or rather infesting the other crops. This is the life cycle of the striga. You see these are the small seeds of the striga plants. They germinate with the help of root exudates, and the initiation of the haustoria you are seeing here, and by the haustoria they attached on the surface of the roots. They attach to the vascular system. This is the vascular system of the host plant, and this is the striga. They attach to it and for drawing their nutrients and water, etc., and they grow and mature. And you see this is the main host plant, and at the root site the striga is attached with the roots seen here, and then seeds remain dormant for quite a long time in the soil, and after ripening they again start their life cycle like this. Viewers, today we discussed about the phanerogamic plant parasites, and the main parasites were cuscuta or the dodder, Orobanche or the locumula, and Loranthus or the mistletoe, and striga, which is also known as rookdi in the local language. They are mostly the total parasites of the stem or root, or partial parasites of the stem or root. We studied their dissemination, their classification, and how they penetrate inside the host plants to draw their nutrients and water supply for their own reproduction and further growth. Actually, these parasites are very important as they infest the crop plants like sorghum and millets, and therefore, it is very essential to manage these plants for our own production. Thank you.